Thank you for listening to this Belly Up Sports Podcast Network product. Some said we go belly up, so we made it our name, and we're still here.
All right, what's up, everyone? My name is Alex, and this is the Beyond Half Court podcast. It's the podcast, episode number 5. Man, a lot of things have happened since the last episode. I want to apologize for the last episode, video-wise, being messed up. I really don't know what happened, and I tried to edit it so that it wasn't so choppy and delayed, but man, it was physically impossible to do it, and it would have taken me multiple hours to even try to fix it. So I felt like it wasn't that bad to where I would need to spend that much time on it. So, I feel like most of you guys probably just listened to it anyway, so I didn't think that was too much of an issue. So hopefully this doesn't happen again. I ran a test for a little bit, seemed to be fine. So hopefully that's all out of the way, and that's a problem that we don't have to worry about anymore. Let's see what else. I've uploaded 3 videos on my other channel, Beyond Half Court. One of them was the top 10 NBA players right now going into next season. That video is doing insanely well, at least compared to what I was expecting, and I guess the rest of the videos that I have up on there. It's at almost 900 views. Very surprising. So shout out to everyone who watched that video. It was a lot of YouTube recommendation people, so a lot of new people got some subs from it. So hopefully some of you guys are, listening to this podcast now, and hopefully you guys stick around. So I uploaded that video. I've also uploaded 2 more. I have What is an NBA Superstar? And I kind of referenced the Taylor Rooks, Jason Tatum interview, and I just go over kind of what people think defines an NBA superstar, and at the end I kind of give my own definition in a list as well. So if you're interested in that, please go check that out. And just yesterday, or today, as the day I'm recording, but you guys will listen to this tomorrow. So I also uploaded the Eastern Conference X Factors. So I go through each team and I kind of give a player on each team that I think could make the team a little bit better than we expect. My X Factors are a little bit different from maybe what some people might expect. I think some people they don't include star players. But I do have some star players on that, and I also have one team on there that has more than just one player. And I give my explanations why. So if you're interested in that, go check that out. I'm going to be doing the Western Conference X Factors as well, and that's going to be uploaded on Wednesday. So be on the lookout for that. Again, I'm recording this podcast for YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and also Spreaker. So if you're watching on YouTube and you would rather just listen on audio and you don't really care about the video, you can go check out over there. Check the Linktree link below. In the description, you'll find links to all those sorts of sources. And, if you're listening on audio and you want to see my face, then go ahead. It's on YouTube, Beyond Half Court Podcast, and you'll be able to see my face. YouTube is a little bit different because I am going to be sharing the screen today, and I've been sharing the screen a little bit more often as well, just to show articles and stuff. So if you want to see what I'm looking at, feel free to check out the YouTube versions as well. But yeah, we have a pretty exciting episode. We're going to be reacting to the ESPN top 100 players going into next season. I've only seen a couple pictures, a couple screenshots, some reactions on Twitter. I haven't looked at it yet on my own, so that's going to be interesting. It might take me a while to see what's really wrong with it, but we're going to go through it together. But before we do that, I want to go through some just quick news. Talked about Robert Sarver on the last episode. I was led to believe that, the year suspension was not enough, but that maybe, there's an under the table deal that, Robert Sarver is going to get so much backlash, or the NBA in general is going to get so much backlash for the punishment that Robert Sarver was virtually going to be forced to sell the team. And that's exactly what's happening. So good riddance with him. I hope he finds a buyer soon, because he's a piece of shit. But yeah, so I'm kind of just done talking about that. I'm not, I may say something quick once he sells the team, but I pretty much said what I had to say. He's not a good person, and I'm happy that he is going to be eventually selling the team, and I think that's good. Also, Suns related, Jay Crowder seems like he's going to be on the move, so we'll talk about that later, see where he ends up going. really interesting. I'm actually surprised he wants to leave the Suns. Um, just off the top of my head, a team that I think really needs him. I think the Bulls would be a great fit for him. They don't really have that, number 4 spot solidified, in my opinion. I mean, they have Patrick Williams, but I think they need another guy. Jay Crowder, I think, would be a really good fit with the Bulls. Um, Up next, we have Ime Udoka situation. Not going to go into it too much right now because there's not a lot of information, and I feel like the journalism that's been told about this story has been a little bit questionable. So I want to wait till some more information comes out until I talk about it. But I will just say that I think it's deeper than what Woj was talking about, and you can see if you guys follow Shams and you guys were seeing stuff on Twitter. Shams was reporting that Ime Udoka had said something questionable, towards a female staffer. So it's obviously much bigger. The Celtics, it's also very weird that they're not explaining what rules he broke. I think that they're mainly trying to, save his reputation, which, whatever. I mean, I don't think that's a good or a bad thing, I guess. Pretty neutral about it. But we'll talk about that later once some more information comes out. And the last thing I wanted to say before we get into the ESPN Top 100, the Pistons traded for Bojan Bogdanović, and they traded Kelly Olynyk and Saban Lee. Did not have to trade any draft picks, which I think is a major plus for the Pistons. I think for the Jazz, obviously they would want picks back, but at the same time they don't want to take a lot of salary, and they also want to make sure that it's short-term salary. So it makes sense why they only got Saban Lee and Kelly Olynyk. Actually, I don't know how old Saban Lee is, but I think he is on the younger side. So I guess it is positive they got some sort of young asset, I guess. Don't know how well Saban Lee is going to end up being. By the time he's good, maybe he's not even on the team anymore. So, I think it's a fine trade for the Jazz, and I think it's a great trade for the Pistons. I think they were going to end up starting Marvin Bagley. So I think this is definitely an upgrade for them. And man, the Pistons are going to be a really interesting team to watch for next season. Obviously, still very young, not developed fully yet, but adding a veteran shooter, Cade really needs space. That was something that they did not have last season. And they've gotten Alec Burks, and now they just got Bogdanović. So, I think they're doing a really good job right now with setting that team up. They got Jaden Ivey, obviously, in the trade, Jalen Duren. Pistons are going to be really fun to watch, actually. And, I'll be looking forward to watch them, but I think it's a good trade for both sides. Obviously, I think it benefits the Pistons a little bit more, just because it will actually improve their team. The Jazz are obviously trying to lose, so it doesn't really matter what players they get back. They just want to make sure that they're losing games. And trading Bogdanović definitely helps them in that situation. Kelly Olynyk is going to go off for the Jazz, so if you're a Utah Jazz fan, have fun watching Kelly Olynyk drop 20 points a game. But yeah, so now that we're done with the news, let's get into this top 100. Now, before I shared the screen, I did read the intro to each of the articles because they got 4 different ones because they split them off into 100 to like 50 or something like that, and so on and so forth. I think that one article is literally just the top 5. So in each article, it sounds like they're predicting who is going to be the top 100 players. Once that season starts and a couple games get going, like who is going to be those top 100. So it doesn't seem like it's solely just based off of last season, which I don't necessarily agree with, because when you're predicting players, it's just so subjective. So I feel like, ranking players in general is already subjective, but when you add the prediction part of it, I think it makes it even more harder to rank players, because you can be super high on one person compared to others, and you may be super low on someone compared to others. So it gets really confusing. So we'll try to maybe cut them some slack, but from what I saw, man, I don't think we can cut them some slack. So let's just get into it. We're going to start off with what is it? The top 100, 126. Oh, wow. Yeah. So 100 to 26. Oops. We need to go back. So yeah, again, it seems like they are predicting who these players are going to be, if they're going to be top 100, not based solely off of just last season. So let's get straight into it. Shout out Malika Andrews. We're starting off with number 100, and we got Bogdanović. When we're at these points where we're at like the 199 mark, I'm not really going to have too much to say. I think it's kind of silly to debate who's better between, Bogdanović and who's 99, Grant Williams. I mean, both of these guys are really great role players, and it's very difficult to actually rank role players in my opinion because the roles are different for each team. Grant Williams is a 3-and-D guy, and Bogdanović is more of kind of just like a scoring option, so it's really hard to kind of rank. So I don't have too much to say about this. Mitchell Robinson 98, got Kevin Love at 97, Seth Curry at 96, Keegan Murray. Another thing too is they're predicting coming into next season, so rookies like Keegan Murray, they're going to be on this list. Again, it's very interesting to have these guys on the list, especially since they haven't played a single NBA game. And we don't know how they're going to translate. They don't, especially high draft picks, they don't always translate into being good NBA players. So to me, I find it very hard to predict how rookies are going to play in the NBA, especially since they haven't played an NBA game. And any NBA game they have played has been in the summer league. And they're playing guys who, frankly, aren't NBA players. They're players trying to get into the NBA. So, they're in the G League, that sort of thing, or, they're overseas and they're trying to make it into NBA. So, I mean, they're still very good players, but, compared to actual NBA level talent, they're not playing the best of the best. So it's really hard to rank these sort of guys, in my opinion. So I'm not going to have too much to say about that. Brandon Clark, shout out Brandon Clark, went to San Jose State. D'Angelo Russell at 93. He was 63. This is always very interesting to me because I think D'Lo has fallen off people's radar a little bit. Just because, he's on the Timberwolves now and they have Anthony Edwards and Cat, so I feel like that takes away some shine. Don't think that's too low. Christian Wood at 92. Anthony Simons at 91 is kind of interesting to me because if we're predicting how well he's going to be, obviously Damian Lillard is coming back, but man, he played really well when Dame was out and, CJ McCollum is gone. They added Josh Hart, Jeremy Grant. So obviously, the ball isn't going to be in his hands as much, but I think it really should be in his hands a little bit more. And honestly, I feel like 91 is maybe a little bit too low. Yeah, see, Buddy Hield here at 90. I think Simons is definitely a little bit too low. Simons at this point of his career is definitely better than Mike Conley. Yusuf Nurkic. Yes, I mean, Simons is just better than Yusuf Nurkic. They're on the same team, so I feel like it's definitely easier to rank guys, especially on their own teams. Like I feel like Simons is gonna definitely have more of a role for them on that team. Malcolm Brogdon, this is an interesting choice as well because when everyone's healthy, he's not starting. So are we gonna say that Malcolm Brogdon, coming off the bench is better than Simons who's starting? Is Simons gonna start? I'm not sure. I guess they could play Josh Hart at the 3 and then have Simons at the 2 or the 1, and Dame 1 or 2. I'm not sure. I guess that is interesting. Kristaps Porzingis here at 86. Sure. I think he's definitely better than Jordan Clarkson. Jordan Clarkson had a really bad year last season. Porzingis averaged like 22 points per game, and obviously the health is an issue, so maybe if they're ranking him this low because of, health, I definitely get that. Let's see. Did they say anything? Yeah, so he shot 60% true shooting, which was a career high. Porzingis did not play any of the 17 games, but Bradley Beal, yes. Okay, yeah. See, they don't say why he. I guess I don't know. If they're factoring health into it, I guess I understand. But I feel like Kristaps is a little bit too low. I had him in my top 10. Power forward? So I feel like 86 is definitely too low. That definitely should be higher than Jordan Clarkson. Valanciunas at 86 or 84. Now, again, I haven't looked into this list, but I feel like this is also low. Obviously, he went up from last season. He was 94, but I think he's definitely too low. Valanciunas is definitely better than Aaron Gordon. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Obviously, Aaron Gordon is a better two-way player, I guess, but, Valanciunas last year. But again, actually, I guess I don't know. Like, Valanciunas will, take a back seat because, Zion's coming back, but I mean, Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. are coming back as well. So Aaron Gordon's going to be the fourth option. Valanciunas is going to be the fourth option. I think Valanciunas is better than Aaron Gordon, in my opinion. And we got, again, Paulo, a rookie. If you're asking me, they just shouldn't be on this list. And if you're going to put them on the list, they definitely shouldn't be over, players like Valanciunas. I don't know if Paulo is actually going to be better than Valanciunas, Josh Giddey here at 81. I guess, yeah, that works. Karis LeVert, okay. Again, I don't really have too much problems with these role players. Lonzo Ball at 78. Definitely feel like he should be a little bit higher, but again, if they're factoring in health, he's not going to be playing in the beginning of the season, and we really don't know what he's going to look like when he comes back. So I guess if they're going to rank him here, I guess that makes some sense. I'm not going to worry about it too much. Dylan Brooks. Whoa. Okay. Ben Simmons at 76 is kind of insane. I know he didn't play last season. I am tired of clicking the teams for my YouTube watchers. 76. I mean, 2021 rank was 28. What do they say here? One game to watch, November 22nd at Philadelphia. The build-up for this game has been growing for over a year. We got a taste of what was to come last March when Simmons, who was traded to Brooklyn for package. Yeah. Okay. I don't understand what the point of all of this is for. They're pretty much just talking about nothing about, actual games being played or like why he's ranked. This is just commentary. They're not saying anything of substance. So I think I'm going to stop reading those until we get, closer to the top 10. But I mean, if we're being honest here, like we're predicting how well they're going to be. It doesn't seem like we're really going based off of last season. I think that obviously does play a part in the rankings, but man, I know Ben Simmons can't shoot or, he's unwilling to shoot, but dude finished up as a runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year in the last season he played. And I feel like that on its own, like he should definitely be higher. 76 is insane. And he's also an elite playmaker. So and a rebounder. Like he literally does everything good except for, I guess, like scoring the ball. Obviously, he can't shoot. I don't know. That's weird. He's just better than OG, man. I mean, Ben Simmons is he's better than Harrison Barnes. He's better than John Collins, man. Better than Michael Porter? I don't know, bro. I'm a Nuggets fan. I may be a little bit biased. I think Michael Porter may be a little bit low as well if we're, projecting how well he's going to play. But I mean, if you're comparing him to Ben Simmons, like Ben Simmons, obviously Michael Porter Jr. way better scorer. But other than that, that's the only thing he's really better at. Like Ben Simmons is just better defensively in general. Michael Porter Jr. and, multiple spots in the playoffs could potentially get played off the court just because of how bad he is on the defensive end. I think that should be considered, and I just don't think it was. Who's next? Julius Randle. Okay. You want to debate Ben Simmons, Julius Randle, that's fine. Personally, if there's Julius Randle of 2 years ago, I think I would pick Julius Randle. He played an all-NBA level, but he had a really bad year last season. And again, if you're predicting that, he comes up and he plays a little bit better, I would understand why you choose Julius Randle over Ben Simmons. I don't have a problem with that. Al Horford, again, man, Ben Simmons is just better than Al Horford, man. Obviously, Al Horford can stretch the floor. He's a role player. He's just overall really versatile, but I just feel like Al Horford is a little bit worse than Ben Simmons, but we'll move on. Spencer Dinwiddie. Again, I think Ben Simmons is just better than Spencer Dinwiddie. Desmond Bane, I think Ben Simmons is just better. Brunson, I think Ben Simmons is better than Jalen Brunson, man. And Brunson is really good. It's just I don't know, man. Let's get off the Ben Simmons thing. Once we get to the point where I think it's not an argument anymore, I'll bring it back up. Miles Turner. I think Brunson's better than Miles Turner. Westbrook at 65 is hilarious as well. I know he does not fit well with the Lakers. At many times, I think I could possibly consider myself a Westbrook hater, but I think we get a little bit lost in how bad he was with the Lakers because I still think Westbrook is very talented, but he's just not on a good team that, fits his needs. I think if he's on a team that he fits generally better in, I think he played better, and obviously he didn't play very well, but like I don't think that means that he's a worse player. I think he's the same player. He's just not performing as well because he is on a worse team. So I think this is also a little bit too low for Westbrook, especially, I don't know. I guess we're predicting, it's probably going to be about the same. So I don't know. I still think this is a little bit too low. Who do we got after him? Jeremy Grant. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Again, it's so hard. I think Westbrook's better than RJ Barrett. But again, we're predicting here, so maybe RJ should be higher. Jalen Green. Maybe I think Jalen Green is a little bit too low. Same thing with RJ Barrett. Tyler Hero, maybe a little bit low as well. Kyle Lowry, man, he took a massive drop this season. Didn't seem to be in the best of shape. That seems to be a point of focus in the offseason, just based off reports that I was seeing. So hopefully Kyle Lowry jumps back up. Tyrese Halliburton, again, I'm super high on Tyrese. This might be a little bit too low, but our league is really talented, so this actually might be a good spot here. Robert Williams, another great player. Vucevic, I think Robert Williams is better than Vucevic, but it is close. I'm not too mad about that. I think Ben Simmons is better than Tobias Harris. In my opinion, I think he is. Even when they were both on the same team, he was just better. And Tobias Harris hasn't improved that much, or Ben Simmons hasn't improved that much to the point where he's not, he's worse than Tobias. He's just better than Tobias. Jordan Poole. Sure, man. I guess I could get with him being better than Ben Simmons. I don't know. De'Aaron Fox. I think Ben Simmons is better than De'Aaron Fox as well. Jaren Jackson Jr. Now, I think I would take Jaren Jackson Jr. over Ben Simmons. So I would say somewhere in this 50 spot is probably good for Ben Simmons. Jared Allen, 52. DeAndre Ayton, 51. I think that's fine having them this close together. I think the gap between them isn't, that far off. I think based off my ranking videos that I did on my other channel, on the Beyond Half Court channel, I think I had Jared Allen over Ayton personally. But again, if we're predicting, I think Ayton, it's fair to have him here. Jamal Murray at 50. Sure. I think Jamal Murray is better than Mikal Bridges for sure, especially if we're going to be predicting SGA. This also seems a little bit too low. I may take SGA over Jamal Murray. I think I would. Sabonis, I'm fine with that, I guess. Darius Garland. Now this seems a little bit too low as well. I don't think the gap between him and SGA or even Jamal Murray is that close, because Jamal Murray was 50, and so it's only a 6-spot difference, or no, 4. It's a 4-spot difference. So yeah, I don't think the gap between those guys is that close. Yeah, Darius Garland's better than CJ McCollum, man. He's also better than Ty. That's crazy. Darius Garland was an all-star, right? Am I bugging right now? Do they have non-all-stars better than an all-star? And again, I know they're predicting, but are we not predicting that Darius Garland is not going to be better, and that these guys are just going to be so much better than them, or better than an all-star? Like, am I crazy right now? I want to see Darius Garland. He was an all-star last season. That's crazy to me. I love Tyrese Maxey. He's here at number 44. But he's not better than Darius Garland. He's just not. Last season he wasn't, and I don't think he could be this season. I think Darius Garland was insanely good last season. I think Darius Garland is better than Draymond Green. Obviously, Draymond Green is another player that's really hard, to judge, because he is, some people call him a role player. I think he's personally an all-star level talent just because of how good he is on defense and his playmaking. To me, he's like he's the all-star of the role players, and that's not discount how good he is, because he's obviously really good. But I don't know. I just feel like Draymond Green is Let's see who comes after him. DeJounte Murray, sure. Yeah, I think he's better than Draymond. LaMelo Ball, I'd say LaMelo Ball is better than DeJounte Murray. It is very close, though. Zion at 40, this is probably a little bit too low. Again, if we're predicting, obviously he didn't play last season, but the season before he averaged 27 points. To me, being a 27-point per game scorer and being number 40 is kind of insane. Yeah, Zion is just better than Scotty, bro. Fred VanVleet, 38. Yeah, Zion is just better than... I say Zion... Who else was up here that I thought? LaMelo Ball, DeJounte Murray, I think they're better than Fred VanVleet. SGA, Darius Garland definitely is better than Fred VanVleet. That is insane. I don't get that. Almost everyone here is better than Klay Thompson. Again, if we're predicting, Klay Thompson didn't have the best return, I guess, from injury. But he's still pretty good. I don't know, man. It's like we're comparing like number one options to number two options. And to me, like those number one options are just better than Klay Thompson. Evan Mobley. So we're predicting that Evan Mobley is going to be better than Darius Garland. I love Evan Mobley. He gives me a lot of similarities to Kevin Garnett, but I think this is just a little bit too soon. I think they're jumping the gun here at number 36. This is just too high. If you wanted, to me, you could switch Darius Garland and Evan Mobley, and I think I'd be okay with that. Maybe Mobley would still be a little bit too high, but hey, man, I like Evan Mobley, but better than an all-star player. He's also better than Jared Allen. I don't know. Actually, going into next season, he could be better than Jared Allen, but he's definitely not better than Darius Garland. That's weird to me. Cade Cunningham. Okay, again, it's so hard because yes, Cade Cunningham can be a very good player, but is he already going to be better than is he going to be an all-star caliber player next season? I don't know if he is, just because the team isn't good, right? So if they're going based off just the player alone and not taking into account wins, I guess you could feel that Cade is better than Darius Garland, but it's like it's like, are we just assuming Darius Garland stays the same at this point, and then like everyone else just improves so dramatically? Like I don't like that. I don't like that. Darius Garland is better than Marcus Smart, man. Kyrie Irving at 33? What? Bro, there is no... Andrew Wiggins at 32? What? Chris Middleton? Dude, the media has something against Kyrie, man. The media has something against Kyrie. It's honestly kind of crazy at this point. I know he didn't play majority of the season, but again, they're predicting how they're going to play. The reason why Kyrie didn't play last season wasn't because of injuries. It was because of the vaccine, the COVID vaccine. So obviously that's not a problem anymore because they're not requiring it. Except I think the Raptors are still requiring it. But even then, that's what, 2, 3, 4. Are they in the same division? I don't remember. I'm really bad with divisions. I think they are. Are they in the same division? So maybe it's like 4 times out of the 82 games. Like, come on. Like, Kyrie is talented enough to be better than Chris Middleton, man. I think he's better than Pascal Siakam. I know Pascal made the All-NBA team. Brandon Ingram, I think Kyrie's better than Brandon Ingram. DeMar DeRozan, I guess. Zach LaVine, okay. I think I might take Zach LaVine over Kyrie. Drew Holiday over Kyrie is insane. Obviously, Drew Holiday at number 26 here. By far the best defensive guard in the NBA. Maybe not by far, but to me, like, there's no argument. Like, I guess him in number 2, which would probably be Marcus Smart. The gap between them isn't that big, but to me, it's like undoubtedly Drew Holiday is better. I'm actually surprised that he wasn't in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. But man, this is so strange to me. Why is Kyrie so low? All right, so that we went through the 100 through 26 there. Just a quick recap of my opinions. Ben Simmons, Darius Garland, Kyrie, those guys are too low. They need to go higher. But again, I'm not going to go too in depth on that one just because a lot of it is role players, and to me, it's really hard to gauge how good a role player may be the next season. But I also think SGA was a little bit too low as well. Jamal Murray may be too low as well because again, they're predicting, and it seems like especially for these guys who aren't playing a lot of games, they're not taking into effect that these guys are going to be playing more. So I don't know. I think that's a little bit strange to me. Yeah, that was the top 100 to 26. So now we're going to go on and we're going to go to the next ESPN article here. And we're going to be going through, what is it, 25 to 11. So here we go. We got the number 25 to 11. At number 25, again, this guy's better than Drew Holiday. It's Anthony Edwards. Again, they're predicting. Sure, man. I think I like Edwards. I think he'd make a jump. Donovan Mitchell, 24. I think Donovan Mitchell would be better than Anthony Edwards. I'm okay with that. Bam at 23. I'm also okay with it. This isn't looking so bad so far. Jaylen Brown, 22. Maybe a little bit too low, but I'm not mad. Chris Paul, yeah. Jaylen Brown, especially again, if we're predicting, I think at this point in his career, Chris Paul is not the top 30 player. I might take Drew Holiday over him, possibly. Actually, no, I wouldn't do that. Scratch that. I would say Chris Paul's a little bit too high. But Jaylen Brown, I think, is better than Chris Paul at this point of his career. And what? Whoa, okay. I said I wouldn't read this, but I gotta see what they're saying here. The Lakers go north to play. Okay, that's one game to watch. Why he could exceed this ranking. Okay, this is what we want. Davis missed 78 of the Lakers' 154 games the past few seasons because of various injuries. Just by virtue of some good health and some good luck, Davis should impact winning the way he did in the first season in LA when the Lakers won it all. Okay, so it seems like they are taking into account like injury history, so I could definitely understand why maybe AD isn't in this number 9 ranking like they had last year, but who do they got at 19? Bradley Beal. I'm sorry, man. Bradley Beal has missed a lot of games. I don't understand. Even when he does play, AD is still better than him, bro. I'd also say Jaylen Brown is better than Bradley Beal. Rudy Gobert. I think AD is better than Gobert, but again, if they're taking into account injuries, sure, Rudy Gobert over AD, I guess that's fine. Jimmy Butler, I would say Jaylen Brown should probably be behind Rudy Gobert, and Anthony Davis probably slightly in front there. Jimmy Butler, number 17. This is too low, in my opinion. This is too low. If you guys watched my top 10 players, I had Jimmy Butler at number 10. So yeah, he's 7 spots below. I think that's just too low. I know his regular season stats don't really, pop out. He only averages like about 20 points in a regular season, but he was 1 game away from the finals, and he elevated his game. He went to like 27 points per game, was a lot more efficient. Obviously, he guards one of the best players on the teams whenever he plays. No one really, believed in the Heat either. Like, they were 1 game away from beating the Celtics, and if Jimmy hit that 3, they would have gone to their second finals appearance in 3 years. So I think this is too low for Jimmy. What's next? Trae Young. I'd say Jimmy Butler is better than Trae Young. I'm also not the type of person to say just because you beat a player, you're better than them. But Trae Young did really underperform in the playoffs. He only averaged like 16 points against the Heat. And obviously Jimmy Butler's on the Heat. So I would say Jimmy's higher than Trae. Paul George. This is also a debate for the ages. I feel like Paul George and Jimmy Butler are always like either Paul George is slightly better than Jimmy or it's the other way around, right? So I definitely think I also think Paul George may be a little bit too low as well. But I think Jimmy Butler and Paul George should definitely be somewhere close to each other. Damian Lillard, man, now it's going to start getting tough because obviously the injuries happened. So I think that's why he's this low. But I mean, I think Dame is a borderline top 10 guy. Obviously, he's number 14. I think Cat is too high. Cat's got to go up. He's got to be by Rudy Gobert, in my opinion. I think they're very close to each other. They both do completely different things really well. Obviously, Gobert is the defensive anchor, and Cat. Now they're on the same team. Cat is the offensive machine, so it's going to be interesting how they fit. But personally for me, I think I might have Cat over Gobert, but I think they should literally be right next to each other. Kawhi at 12 is crazy as well. Again, like, I understand the injury history here, but he's been able to come back from injuries. Obviously, he had the whole Spurs thing. He came back with the Raptors and he won the finals. And yes, the Warriors lost KD and Klay Thompson in that series, but still, him just making it to the finals, I think, is crazy, especially with him coming back after virtually a year off. He's come back from injuries before. I think this is also too low. I think he should be bordering that top 5, maybe 6 or 7 range. James Harden. I think James Harden is just a little bit too high. I think he should probably be around that Jaylen Brown, Paul George, Jimmy Butler. I think I'd take all those guys over James Harden. But yeah, again, if they're assuming that he's going to come back from this hamstring injury, and just be better, which I think is going to happen, I guess I'm not too down on him being at number 11, but again, we don't know until we see. So that was it. Honestly, this wasn't as bad as the 100 to 26. I think players are mostly in their spots. I just think Kawhi is too low, Cat is too high, Dame is maybe a little bit too low, Paul George and Jimmy and Trey, I think, are just a little bit too low there. What else? AD definitely too low. He should be bordering that top 10 player range if he's healthy, obviously. Yeah, that one wasn't as bad as the other one. I don't really have any issues with that. I think so far the worst ranking is probably Ben Simmons. I'd say Ben Simmons or the Westbrook one. But the Westbrook one, like, obviously, if we're predicting, I put down in the comments below how many times I've said predicting. But again, like, if we're just predicting how Westbrook is going to play, it would probably be remotely the same next season unless he gets traded. But he obviously didn't play well. But if he's on a better situation, I think he plays better. But that's to virtue of a better, structured team that fits him better. I don't think he got worse. I think he's just on a bad fit. He's just a bad fit. So I think Westbrook is also a little bit. He'd probably be my number 2 worst ranking. Yeah, so that was 22-11. So now what's next? They got 10 to 6. So we're gonna look at the top 10 to 6 players. This is where it gets really interesting, and I think we can definitely start making some arguments here. Because most of these guys are solidified players. So there's not going to be much predicting here. But here we go. Number 10. Oh my God. Devin Booker at number 10 is too high. This may be a little bit of a hot take. I personally don't think it is, obviously, because it's my opinion. But I think Jaylen Brown is better than Devin Booker. So put Devin Booker up into that last article that we had and put him by Jaylen Brown, because he's definitely not better than Jimmy Butler as well. I understand the predicting part, but if we're going to have him here at number 10, and I said Chris Paul was too high as well, I think if Devin Booker's going to be top 10, Chris Paul's got to go down. He's got to go down. There's no way Devin Booker's going to reach that top 10 status unless Chris Paul takes a step back even more, in my opinion. So yeah, man, and I think we're also just ignoring the fact about how bad he did play against the Mavericks in that, in the second round. Yeah, man, I don't think Devin Booker is a top 10 player, and for me, like, to reach that top 10 player, like, you have to be a two-way guy, or you have to be so good offensively that, like, whatever defensive struggles you may have, like, your offense makes up for it. Players like Trae Young, I think Trae Young is better than Devin Booker. But I don't think Trae Young's a top 10 player. I think he's close to it. But Booker doesn't have that two-way impact, in my opinion. And he's still a little bit shoddy on the offensive end. But still very good offensively. Don't get me wrong. I think he should definitely be in that top 20 conversation. Maybe around that 15 spot I think is good. But this is just too high, in my opinion. Number 9, Ja Morant. Ja Morant also might be one of the most overrated players in the league. I love Ja Morant. I had him as my number 3 point guard in the NBA on my list. But this is also just too high. Again, it's the two-way impact. I don't know when this started, but people have started to like think that Ja Morant is some like average, point guard defender. He really isn't. A lot of people trash on Trae Young and his defensive ability. I think Ja Morant is pretty close to Trae Young defense. Obviously, not as bad. It definitely helps that he's athletic. But Ja Morant is not an average defender at this point of his career. So again, the two-way impact for me has to count for this top 10, and it's just not there. I think he's better. I think I would take him over Booker. I wouldn't take. I'd take him over Jaylen Brown as well. He's definitely not top 10. I think he's in that 15 to 10 spot. For sure. Here we go. Number 8. Hey, some of you guys might be mad at this. You guys might be mad at Kevin Durant at 8. I don't have a problem with this. I think personally on my list, let me actually see. I think I had him at number 7. So I guess if you wanted to be technical, this is too low. But hey, man, I know a lot of you guys like Kevin Durant. I like Kevin Durant too. I think he's a great player. But from what I saw from him in the playoffs was just not good at all. He did not play well at all, and I think what people are missing here. Actually, I had him at number 7. I think what people need to realize is that I know Kevin Durant had a bad season, and bad series against the Celtics, and you can look at other series, in the past and be like, oh, Kevin Durant has been really good. Like this is just kind of like a fluke thing, but if you watch the game, Kevin Durant was struggling against double teams. There was a lot of times where he was getting doubled, and he just wasn't making the right reads. Now, there were some games where he was making the right reads, and it was good for him, but he was also committing a lot of turnovers. He was really having a hard time against that Celtics defense. And obviously, you look at other players that went against the Celtics, like Giannis. Giannis's efficiency, it went down, but he still played great. He was still elite defensively. He was offering more through playmaking, and he was still finding ways to score. Obviously, it wasn't as efficient, but I mean, you go against a great defense like the Celtics, like any star player, almost any player on the court is going to be worse, theoretically. At least in terms of, shooting splits and efficiency. Like, they're just going to be worse. That makes sense. But, Kevin Durant, outside of his scoring, if you just look at the players that are above him, he doesn't really bring anything of like elite value. Like I'd say he's an average playmaker. I'd say he's an average defender. He's not as good as he defensively as he was with the Warriors, especially after this Achilles injury. Like he doesn't bring anything of elite value compared to these people above that I feel like would crack him, higher. So that's just kind of like my opinion on it. So I'm not really mad at KD here at number 8. We'll go to number 7. Number 7 is Jason Tatum. I think Jason Tatum is also too high. I would have him on that borderline top 10 player as well. Like I said before, like I'm not the type of guy to say just because you beat someone, you're better than them. But I'm not too mad at Jason Tatum being higher than Kevin Durant. But I personally would not have Tatum higher than KD. And then number 6, we have LeBron. Personally, for me, this is too low, but I could understand why someone may have LeBron here at number 6. Obviously not as good defensively. He had a great offensive season, but the Lakers didn't even make the play-in. So if you're going to take that into account, and again, we're predicting, if we're going to say that, the Lakers are going to be about the same as last season, I could understand why LeBron is there at number 6. I'm not too upset. I think I had him at number 4 on my list. But yeah, so that was the 10 to number 6. We got this last article here, and it's the top 5, and now this is going to get interesting. Let's get this up on the screen. Here we go. We got number 5, and we have Steph. Now, for me, I had Steph at number 3, so to me, this is too low. Number 4, we have Joel Embiid. I think Embiid is too high. Embiid, obviously, runner-up for MVP. This is stuff that we already know. But, man, Embiid has had a lot of talent surrounded by him. He's had Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons. Now he has James Harden. And to me, the fact that you haven't made it out the second round is kind of insane to me. It's kind of weird. And I know Joel Embiid has, gone through a lot of injuries, especially through the playoffs, and he's played through a lot of it. But he's still playing. And he's just not, he's obviously not performing. And again, if you want to, give the injury excuse, that's totally fine. I'm not too mad about that. But I think Joel Embiid is just a little bit too high. I think I had him at 8. I had him right below KD. So, I mean, being a top 10 player is crazy. Like, Joel Embiid can be a runner-up for MVP and still be, number 8. That's crazy to me. Like, that just shows how talented our league is. Who do we got next? We got Luka at 3. I think Luka's a little bit too high. I had him at number 5. But really not too mad about that. Jokic, number 2. I had him at number 2. I don't have a problem with that. And Giannis, obviously, we haven't seen him, so he's at number 1. But yeah, honestly, the top 5 wasn't too bad. I think the list actually got a little bit better as we got, through it all. Another player I'm just thinking about, I think DeMar DeRozan was too low as well. I don't remember what rank he was at. But he was an MVP caliber player. Whoa, hold on. Actually, I need to go back because he was too low. I can't believe I actually missed that. I think he was but he was 100 to 26 for sure. I'm gonna go back and try to find him. Actually, he's at 28. 28 is Zach LaVine. You know what? Never mind. I thought actually I was trying to remember some players. 28, I think, is okay. It was right below Zach LaVine. Yeah, I'm fine with that. That makes sense to me. But yeah, so there was a ESPN's list. It was bad. It was a bad list. I guess if we're ranking it 1 to 10, 10 being a super good list, 1 being a really bad list. It was probably a 4. Let's say a 4 or a 5. But it definitely, there's some questionable players in there for me. I think Darius Garland was way too low. I think he needed to be way higher. So was Ben Simmons. SGA, I think he needed to be higher. Jamal Murray also needed to be higher. I think I said Ben Simmons already. Ben Simmons way too low. I think that was probably the worst ranking there. And then their top 10 players, it had the players. I think in terms of the names, it was fine, but the rankings, again, it's so subjective and they're doing the predictions, so it's so hard to actually say, who's going to be top 10. But I think they had the names right. The order, the order was okay. It was fine. But personally for me, for my top 10, if I can go based off what I remember, again, if you haven't watched the video, go check it out on my other channel. But I think at number 10, I had Jimmy Butler. Let me just pull it up because I actually don't remember. I don't remember who I have at 9. So at number 10, I had Jimmy Butler. Number 9, I had Tatum. I think I had said Tatum shouldn't be in the top 10. I'm wrong about that. I had Tatum at 9. Embiid at 8. KD at 7. I had Kawhi at 6. So that was another thing. I think Kawhi was also too low, especially if we're predicting, even if he misses games, it's most likely going to be a load managing situation. It's not an actual injury. So he should definitely be higher. Also, Kawhi is better than Kevin Durant. I don't care what anyone says. I've kind of felt this way for a couple of years at this point. But I know Kawhi isn't as elite defensively as he used to be, but he's still way better than Kevin Durant. I'd say he's just about the same in terms of playmaking. And people have this weird assumption about Kevin Durant, about his scoring. He's the best scorer in the league, and he's one of the best scorers in the league. Don't get me wrong, but I think people underrate Kawhi. That's because Kawhi, again, is kind of a low-key guy. He's not really scoring like Kevin Durant does, but he's still one of the best volume scorers in the league. The playoff series before he got injured, or just the playoff run that he had, he was averaging 30 points a game on 57% from the field as a forward. To me, that's an all-time performance, and I feel like that doesn't get talked about enough. And again, this list is predicting, but I think Kawhi could do that. He's returned from injury before. So I had Kawhi at number 6. And then for my top 5, I had Luka at number 5. Number 4, I had LeBron. Number 3, I had Curry. 2, I had Jokic and Giannis. 1, like I said before. So if you wanted to see more into the reasons why I had those guys at my, as my top 10, go check out the video on the Beyond Half Court channel. But yeah, that wasn't that bad. It was a bad list, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And just based off what I was seeing on Twitter, I thought it was going to be worse. I really did. But yeah, that was ESPN's top 100 players. Let me know if you guys thought there's a player that I didn't really discuss that much that you thought was maybe a little bit too low or too high. I know I kind of didn't really talk much about the 100 to 26, but especially on that, when you get from like 100 to 50, like those are so interchangeable. Like I'm not going to like stress about you thinking Buddy Hield is better than Seth Curry. I'm just not. But once we got to those top 25, definitely had some problems. Thought players were too low, especially if we were going to predict. I still thought they were too low. But yeah, so again, let me know what you guys thought. Follow me on Twitter at BHCT23. For you guys watching on the YouTube, you'll see I finally have the name and the username there. Makes it look a little bit better. I don't have much really going on the video sense other than my face. So hopefully you guys enjoyed my nameplate there. Yeah, follow me on Twitter. I'm trying to be a little bit more active on there. I do like stuff a lot. So if you want to catch up on news, definitely liking a lot of stuff there. Still trying to plan out a super special video. I got to get some people involved with it. So that's all I'm really going to say about that. If you guys enjoyed, like and sub. We post once a week, every Sunday. And again, you can check it out on YouTube, Beyond Half Court Podcast, or you can check us out or check me out on Spotify, Apple Music, or Apple Podcasts and Spreaker. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and see y'all later. Peace.